What's going on, guys? Welcome to Rabbit's Used Cars. This story I've been wanting to tell for a little while, and it's an interesting story. And I'm not a superstitious guy. For Christ's sake, I got a black cat, and I think life is funny sometimes. You know, just the things that happen. In this business, you get all walks of life, and I know I've talked about that a million times, and showed you several examples of this, and yet here's another. Me and douchebag Matt, the camera guy, were talking about 55 Chevrolets, and this one has the stock rear end under it. And I said, yeah, it's a great rear end, just not really good for lots of horsepower. You know, obviously, you know, the stock rear axle on a 567 Chevrolet, I don't know the correct name for them other than they're made with popsicle sticks. They're not made for doing burnouts and things like that. You know, most people, you know, the big thing was to switch them out with like an S10 rear end so you can get a little bigger wheel and tire under it, and it's a little tougher, whatnot. Now guys putting 8/8s. Now you got Curry spitting out new 9 inches for them and all that stuff. Because you got to think about it, you got to keep it 58 inches between the back end plates. Funny, the random things you remember. But anyway, 155 that comes to mind. You guys remember the Indy Pace Vet, that green, that metallic turquoise, I think is what they called it. You know, you got to think, these cars have no feeling. You got to think, I mean, at the end of the day, it's metal, wire, glass, a little bit of rubber. You know, they have no feeling at all. So you get these cars in some crazy circumstances. You know, you got to think about it. You know, we're coming out of a hell of a situation right now with all the pandemic stuff. Well, you know, there's a lot of people that, you know, they had to sell their toys, you know, because they had to pay the bills. You know, you can't keep lights on with a 55 Chevrolet, or, you know, unexpected death. You know, we've had a few of those in here. You guys maybe never heard of it, but that's kind of how we acquired it. And that's kind of the downside to the business. And it happens. And, you know, that's kind of the ugly side of collector car sales is, you know, a perfect collector car that someone's in love with, they typically keep it unless they're buying it to upgrade or selling it to upgrade rather, or they're, you know, fall on hard times or pass away. So naturally, you know, it's not the car's fault. He had a bad ticker, or he got sick, or his wife caught him with that other chick. It's just part of the circumstance. So anyway, back to the green. We had a 55 Chevrolet several years back that came through, and it was that exact green. They put it on the Vets and the Berettas in 1990. And it was that Indy Pace car green. And this car was extremely dated. You know, white leather tires, but super nice. Just a nice, clean old 55 Chevrolet, just paw fresh. Well, Pawpaw ain't so fresh anymore. He passed, went on to meet his maker. Family sold the car. We got the car. My dad had it for a little while. He had a customer at the truck shop that had a company, and he wanted an old car. He's seen all these old cars. He's like, man, I want an old car. I like that 55 Chevrolet. Well, he's seen this 55 Chevrolet, then he goes crazy. And this guy's got more money and he's got sense. He starts dumping money into it. You know, we put a 383 stroker motor, little crate engine in it, and changed the dash in it, put all updated gauges in it. And of course, at the time, that was billet crazy. So everything was billet aluminum inside. Had the interior redone, had gray tweed, had the interior totally redone. It had a beautiful leather interior put in it, and just everything just done to suit. But he left that green. Didn't like the way it sit. We put air ride suspension on it, changed wheels, just totally changed this car all the way around. And we were talking about the rear ends. We backed it out of the shop to test drive it. And my dad just smacked it in the ass one time. Just first time hitting the throttle, he just pops the throttle and spits the rear end, literally grenades the third member in this thing, in that 55 Chevrolet. Of course, we wheelbarrow it back in the shop, and we locked the wheels up on it. And we ended up putting a 9-inch Ford, a new Curry 9-inch under it, and get the car done. Guy drives the car 2 months, drops dead of a massive heart attack. Family comes to us, says, hey, probably need to sell this car. We end up acquiring the car back. Man, you know, get it back again. We had the car for a little while. That green. Well, there's a guy that was an investment banker, and he was a big name in the area for a long time. He bought the car, and he did some more stuff to it. He changed a few other things on it, and come to find out, he gets popped in some shady dealings by the feds. And, you know, of course, you got to think about it. The car show community, that's a family. And everybody's talking like, oh my God, you hear about so-and-so? He cheated all these old people out of their money, and they're making these high-risk loans. And if you're following it on the timeline, we're running right around the housing crisis, 2008. So this guy Gets a car, and he's got a fleet of collector cars. Beautiful house, beautiful garage. This guy's literally quickly turning into the scum of the earth of the area. And of course, he knew nothing about it. It was his partner's fault and all this stuff and whatnot. And he got the raw end of the deal. He was the scapegoat. And he was the victim in this. And all that's bullshit. Well, next thing you know, in the paper, this guy tried to commit suicide. Sitting in this 55 Chevrolet in the garage with it running. And I'm thinking to myself, and this thing is, there's pictures of this car in the paper. Well, my buddy acquires it when he's taking his little stint at Club Fed. He buys the car from the family because they sell off and liquidate a lot of this stuff. He ends up with this 55 Chevrolet. There's 2 and almost 1 dead already that I know of tied to this car. He said, man, I can't sell this car. He said, nobody won't even look at it. I said, you wonder why? Like it was on like the front friggin' page of the paper. And, it was just like, I can't sell this car. I can't sell this car. I can't sell this car. He said, man, I bought it cheap. I said, what's cheap? I'll give it another run. I'm a gambling man. We get talking, and through some side deals, this Chevy gets thrown in, this cursed car gets thrown in the mix with me. And like I said, I had the vet that couldn't keep a marriage alive. A 55 Chevrolet that kills people. That ain't shit. Whatever. Bring it. Send it. So what am I thinking? I'm in this really nice 55 Chevrolet that we did the majority of the work on, so we know it's a great car. Dirt cheap, but it's this color that sticks out like a turd in a punch bowl no matter where you're at with it. Instantly, everybody's like, oh my God, that's the death car. Just like, between his deal and between the previous owner's deal and then the deal before that I knew about, I'm just like, God, what am I going to do with this thing? Can't just change the wheels on it or something like that. And I'm in it cheap, really cheap for what the car was. We get joking around back and forth, and I get talking to my painter. And my painter's like, you know what that thing needs? She needs a facelift. And I said, what are you talking about? And this thing's green in and out. And like I said, my buddy, the second one, he did a beautiful leather interior in it. I said, what would you charge to make all this green go away? He said, you bring me $6,500, I'll make us a different car. He said, give it 2 months. I didn't ask what colors. I said, just make it nice. Because it was a beautiful car, just had that stigma to it. Like you even drove it to a car show and people were like. So I just kind of, under the radar, dropped it off at the body shop. And nobody never knew I owned it this time around. Keep in mind, it was just kind of a little side deal, like it got slid over to the back of the shop. So only a handful of people even knew that it came back, and they didn't even know I owned it. They might have thought we were working on it or whatever. So next thing you know, it gets hauled to the body shop. I didn't pick colors out. I didn't do anything. I said, buddy, you make it what you think it should be. He called me up 2 months later. He said, you got me some money? And I'll be honest, I almost forgot about the car. And he said, I'm coming to see you. He said, I got a good looking 55 Chevrolet with your name on it. He come rolling up in the shop yard with probably the prettiest 55 Chevrolet I've ever seen in my life. Jet black, white two-tone, absolutely gorgeous car. Beautiful kind of a light tan leather all through it, which is what it had, but just beautiful car. He painted the dash, under the hood, backside of the hood, in the fenders, inside the trunk, door jambs. Every stitch of this car was painted. Jet black and white, base clear, paint that deep on it. Slick, like you could jump in it and go swimming. And I paid him like a damn slot machine. I'm salivating. So they used to have cruise-ins every weekend in the same spot. That was a little hot spot everybody went to. Matter of fact, me and old douchebag camera guy just had lunch there. So that made me think about this. I pulled up, and there's this guy walks up to me and says, man, that's a good-looking 55 Chevrolet you got there. I said, well, thank you. He said, I bet your money wouldn't buy that thing, would it? And I said, I mean, it can be had. And we get joking around back and forth. And he said, what would you take for it? I told him. He said, you mind giving me your name and your number? Wrote my cell on the back of my business card and handed it to him. I said, just give me a call, bud. Drove her home, just beautiful car, and nobody none the wiser. This car that people wouldn't get within 10 feet of. I'm like, oh my God, did you hear that? Oh my, that's that one he tried to kill himself in. Oh my God, that's the one old Jim dropped dead in. Oh yeah, that was the part about the second one. When he had the heart attack, he was in the car. Still not superstitious. Can't let it shake you out of a good deal. And I'm in this 55 Chevrolet for about 2/3 of what it's worth. Done. And it's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Got rid of all that ugly ass green. It's just beautiful. Not dated anymore. I mean, this thing's just right with the times. Hot little 383 stroker motor, rattle the ground. I mean, my paint guy, not that part. Matter of fact, the same paint guy that helped me do the unsellable C10 that I sold in like 5 hours. This guy's saved my ass more times than not. Probably gonna leave him something in my will because he is like my go-to magic man. But anyway, so this guy calls me back and he goes, I like that car a lot. And we put a deal together. And this is the craziest part. I haven't seen that guy in a few years, but the car is still local and I know that. Every time I see a black and white 55 Chevrolet, I think about that old ugly green 55 Chevrolet that my dad spit the rear end out from under and think, you know what? It ain't the car's fault. As far as I know, he's still alive. I'm not necessarily checking the obituary, but as far as I know, he is. And I'm sure he's still happy with his slick 55 Chevrolet. Guys, we'll catch you next time at Rabbit's Used Cars. This and this and this and this. We go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.